Hello everyone, this is Melanie, and today I have probably one of, if not the most beautiful Schipper paintings I've ever brought to you guys. And I have brought you many beautiful paintings. This is one of their more current releases. Although I cannot tell you this is available at the time when you see this video. I don't work in affiliation with Schipper at this time, so I don't know when they'll have things available. I just know that when I saw this one, I was immediately attracted to it, and I thought, oh my word, is that what I think it is? So without keeping you in suspense, let me go ahead and show you the image that this painting will be when it is completed. Now, do you see why it appealed to me so much? Not only is it a incredibly, stunningly beautiful skyline of Manhattan, but it is a 40 by 80 centimeter. And I'm going to tell you what that is in inches somewhere here along this area. The reason we're looking at the back of this piece is because I didn't want to show you the impactful front until I had shown you the image of what this was going to be of. And I want you to notice, for those of us that are in the United States, not that it doesn't affect those of us all over the world, but do you see what these are right here? So this right here is what appealed to me most about this painting. What attracted me originally was this beautiful, amazing sunset. And I'm gonna try to get this entire thing in the camera. I've got it as high as my camera will possibly go right now. But I was just immediately drawn in by the colors of this painting. And Manhattan at night, you know, originally I'm like, okay, well, yes, I've been to New York several times in my life. The first few times I was a young child, you know, I was 7 years old, and I've been to the Statue of Liberty, and I've done those things that, as, you know, kids we do, and we're like, oh, I've done that, you know. They didn't mean as much to us. But after September 11th, this skyline took on a whole new meaning. And yeah, I'm going to get emotional. I don't care. Y'all can judge me. Y'all can call me a big old baby. I think for people who don't get emotional about what happened on September 11th, there's something wrong with them. So, you know, I'm going to get emotional. I'm okay with that. This was not just a U.S. event. This was not just something that happened to America. This was global. So this, when I realized what I was looking at in the skyline, I immediately said, I'm going to track this painting down. I don't care if I have to look at every Amazon that is available to buy from that will ship to America. I'm going to look at every single one. I'm going to go to Schipper.com. I'm going to look at every single site that sells Schipper paintings. I don't care if it comes from, you know, wherever across the world. I'm going to find this painting, and I did that. And I'm not going to talk about where I got it from because it was hard to find, and there was only a couple left at the time, and so I know they're sold out, and I'll have people mad at me. Hopefully Schipper will have it back on their website soon. So but I do want to bring it to you because it was so beautiful. And for those of us in the US, and for those that I've seen on my group say, well, Schipper doesn't have anything I'm interested in. They just don't have a style that, you know, appeals to me. I feel like it's because there's not a lot of, you know, American or US themed pieces. And I'm going to try to straighten it up, kind of match with the camera. I know that seems crazy, but I feel like these lines here need to kind of go with the lines on the camera. But anyway, maybe it's because we're so used to seeing American themed paintings or things that are, you know, based for us, that we've kind of gotten spoiled to that. But when I saw this, I said, I got to have that. So many people died in these two towers right here. And we never see this skyline exactly as it is again. So this was memorialized, you know, and to me, this painting, when it's done, is not something I'm going to sell. It will go up in my home as a memorial for my kids who remember that day, for my grandkids who don't know anything about that day, but for their, you know, parents to tell them what happened and why this is so important. And they can tell that story to their kids and their kids and their kids on and whatever. But Where were you on the day of September 11th, 2001? I know exactly where I was. Craziest thing, you know, I had just had my one wisdom tooth taken out. I'd had it removed the week before, and September 11th, 2001, I was leaving the surgeon's office after having it checked, making sure there was no issues, and I had been told that I could eat normal food. So I was pulling through a Burger King drive-thru, and I heard the Hawk and Tom on the radio, which is out of Greenville, South Carolina, and they were talking about what just happened. I just saw something fly into the World Trade Center, and I was listening to it, and I thought, what in the world? How does a pilot get that far off track that they are flying, you know, other than a mechanical failure, that they would just fly straight into something like the World Trade Center? And immediately Tom said that was on purpose. You know, something's happening, they're attacking. And I immediately got out of that line. I started driving home. Something told me in the pit of my stomach, you know, get home, get home, get home. Your babies are at school. You need to try to get them out of school. And I started trying to get home. And while I was listening to the radio, I mean, I'm kind of like freaking out. And he said, oh my God, the second tower's hit. And then, you know, a second plane went in. And then, of course, you knew it was an attack. So that's when it began. And I know every single person in the United States knows where they were at that time, in that circumstance. So I'm gonna straighten this out a little bit differently, but I want you to tell me in the comments, as briefly as you can, do you remember where you were at the time where you heard that the towers were attacked? This can be a very emotional subject. I don't ever want to forget this situation, and it's impossible almost to believe this is the 20-year anniversary coming up this September of this event. So maybe that's why Schipper decided this year was the year to bring out a painting like this in memory of that event. So I'm glad they did. I'm very glad they did. So let's get on with this. I don't want to talk about it much more. I do want to say that 3 years after this incident, my ex-husband happened to be working in New York for a 4-month period of time, and he wanted me to come up at Christmas time to visit. And we were visiting what had been the site of the World Trade Centers, and I mean, it was devastation, and that was well after the cleaning up process had taken place. And we turned around, and there was the fire truck, one of the fire trucks that had been painted in memory of the firemen and the police officers that had sacrificed and lost their lives during that day. It was beautiful. It was a very humbling experience. So I got to see it before they started the rebuilding, and I mean, it was basically a hole in the ground. You know, it had chain link fencing up around it and things like that. So it was, I mean, it was just a very difficult sight to see, but I'm thankful I saw it, because I feel like you didn't really get to embrace the magnitude unless you saw ground zero. And I really didn't get to see ground zero because I saw it, you know, 3 years after the event had taken place. So I still think about the families and the impact that it made on their lives, and the sacrifices that were made, and oh my goodness, and the people who were the unselfishness of the people in our country, the military who jumped in, the people who decided to fight for our country. I mean, all the things that took place. It was just an overwhelming event, but what a beautiful scene this is. So let's talk about the contents of this kit, because this is a much different format than what we're used to seeing. And I do want to talk about the paints and how they swatch, because I had already taken them out, taken a look at them. I wanted to see this palette because it was so gorgeous. I had to take a look at it, so I went ahead and swatched it for us so we didn't have to wait for that. So let's take a look at what we have under here. As you know, and I know I'm not as excited as I usually am during a Schipper introduction painting, I am extremely excited. I don't want you to get me wrong. This is such a serious topic, but it is just such a fabulous piece that I don't even, I just feel like I cannot possibly do it justice. But I am going to go ahead and point out before I put anything here, this canvas is like all of their paintings. It has that wonderful surface, but it is a board painting. It means it's not a canvas. So you guys, when I have said in the past, I gesso every single canvas, we need to be clear. When I say I gesso every single canvas, a canvas isn't a board. A board is not a canvas. Those are two totally different materials. A canvas is a fabric. A board is a board. So this material is like a canvas surface paper that they use, but it's not really a paper. It's such a high-end quality. I don't even know what to call it, but it is such a fabulous material, and it's placed on top of a matte board finish. And I'm not going to flip this over and all that because it is so large, but you've seen my other videos with Schippers and you've seen the quality of what this is on. But I do like to lightly gesso my Schipper paintings. That is a personal preference. But if you're going to do it, I insist that you watch my video, and I'm going to put the link in here, but I want to make sure that you do it properly, because you do not want to treat a board as a canvas or vice versa. No board painting is equivalent to a Schipper. Only a Schipper is a Schipper. They are in a class above every other kind. So this one is going to be treated completely different in every aspect. All right, so let's talk about the paints, because the paints are absolutely, out of all the kits I've ever brought to you, the most yummy, delicious, incredible, fabulous, phenomenal palette I have ever shown you. But let's look at what I would like to call our ice cream colors. But you guys, like, I've just never seen such a fabulous palette in my life. So how did they swatch? Because that is always going to be the #1 question I'm going to ask when I swatch. So let's set them aside. Now, if you hear this is already rough as I slide it a little bit, it's because I've already gessoed this canvas. It's my next project. And let's take a look at the swatch. This is probably, out of 170 to 200 kits that I own, the most stunning palette I've ever swatched. And I've done some beauties. This one here and this one here, these two are very lightly semi-opaque. Even the white is showing very little through. The yellow, I'm even looking for it. Like, I am trying to find a paint pot line. So this palette is not only gorgeous, but it is opaque, and I cannot wait to start this piece. Now, when I first looked at this piece and I saw the size of it, I was kind of intimidated. And then I looked at the cells on the, the openings here, and I said, this is a manageable piece because the cells aren't tiny. So let me try to move these out of the way a little bit. And I know it's kind of hard to see on the camera because they're gray, which is beautiful because they're easy to cover. But these are fairly decent sized openings. There's nothing super tiny. So it's going to be a manageable piece, I think, as far as time frame. So I'm really excited about starting it. I do want to show you this. I'm not going to go through it all, but I'm going to show you this real quickly. This is your reference guide here, okay? But it's also how you number your paint pots, because you will see that we have 35 paint colors, but I do have 36 pots, because this last pot, let me find it, is actually number 21. And I wouldn't have known that had I not been paying attention to how they had this numbered. So you've got to pay attention as you're numbering how they have this, or otherwise I would have put down a number 36 on this and then at the end been going, where's my extra number 21? I'm going to need a lot of that one. I wouldn't have known that's what it was. So just be sure when you number that you pay attention to how they have things numbered and whether you have duplicates of certain colors. All right, so you guys, that is it for Manhattan at Night. I think this is just going to be an amazing piece, and that is all for today, you guys. Be sure to join me on my Facebook group, on Instagram, and on Pinterest, and I will see you back soon. Thanks as always for watching.